Hi everyone, my name is Larry King here. I will be your presenter for this course. This instructional video regarding hazards and risk assessment. Okay, so I know that you're so excited for this instructional video regarding doing risk assessment using the previously sent risk registry format. And I have told you from my previous email that I need you to familiarize on every column items that we included or incorporated to that risk assessment because it is very essential for you so that it is very easy for you to understand this instructional video and you can use that when you are planning or you are doing a risk assessment. But before that, you'll first identify the necessary things that we need in order to establish a risk assessment. And in order to know those important factors, we have to fully understand what is our goal of doing risk assessment. Why, in the first place, our companies hire safety professionals? So, why do companies need safety? Okay? Without safety, every operation of a company only based on luck. When we talk about safety, properties or equipment get damaged, environment will slowly impacted, and people will compromise. Yes, we have other systems already in place, such as quality system, production system, maintenance system, and others, but it isn't enough. Because when operations focusing on these systems without safety, it will also affect the main reason why the company was built. What is the reason? Profit. Okay? So every company wants to have a profitable business. Anything that may affect and lessen the profit of the company must be resolved immediately. So what is the connection of safety in the business interest of a company? When an accident happens, there are monetary losses as a result. When we talk about a person being injured, there are direct implications due to an accident. You will have hospitalization costs, leave benefits, and replacement costs. For indirect implications, you will have downtime costs due to stop work, investigation, morale, appreciation of insurance premium, training costs, and resolution costs. And there's so many things also I haven't mentioned it because if I am going to mention you here, probably this will be over 60 minutes instructional video. But anyway, when we talk about property damage, you have to spend maintenance repair cost, replacement cost, downtime during repair or replacement, and others. The same thing with the environment. The resolution cost and downtime are the big impact of every incident. So in other words, all these costs will be considered as losses. Reason why we have loss control management. There's so many indirect losses that I haven't mentioned yet. So if you will imagine the impact to business loss of an incident depends on the weight of the effect. And it's called severity. Severity is our measurement for the intensity of the effect of an incident. That is the reason why we need to have a definite assessment for severity because it plays a significant role in loss control management. So with these losses, the aim of the managing losses is to minimize or as much as practicable, eliminate the chances of having losses. If you used to lose 1 million a year due to 10 incidents and you reduce the number of incidents into half, you will reduce your losses to 500,000. This is the likelihood of encountering an incident. That's the reason why we have likelihood in risk assessment. Okay? Likelihood in risk assessment is that we need to estimate the number of times an incident may occur so we can minimize the probability as low as practicable. When we are solving problems, it is vital to prioritize the problem with the most severe effect so we can minimize a very high possible loss. This is why in safety, when we are identifying risk, we are considering the most severe effect of an incident that is called significance of or significance level. In risk assessment, we have to identify risk as the maximum possible result of a probable accident, not the minimum, not the lower possible effect. For let's say the possibility is for you to have a fatality, then don't consider anymore the first aid, LTIs, or whatsoever, or medical treatment. Not anymore. We focus on the maximum possible risk. So when you put something on your risk column, it should be the maximum possible risk. Now, what causes these losses? When a factory was burned, we used to look for the sequences of events to identify what really happened. When a person got injured, we used to find out how did he get injured, not directly go to the hazard that causes the risk. This is what we called the immediate effect, which is, you know, most risk assessment forgotten this. That's why they were always confused of what has they need to put in the column for hazard. Okay, so once we know that a person got injured because he was tripped, that is the time that we will ask about why he got tripped. Okay, a person got injured. Let's say he got a broken arm. The immediate effect from that particular hazard is tripped. Okay, now if you ask why he got tripped or tripped from what, let's a person who was injured tripped from an even surface, then that is what we call hazard, uneven surface. You know, the wrong understanding of most safety professionals or even most people in an organization is um, the difference, I mean, the categories, the difference between the category of the hazards and the hazards himself. Okay, you know, in a hazard, usually you can find more than one word. Okay, let's talk about that uneven surface. In an even surface, you have uneven and you have surface. Surface can never be a hazard unless it is uneven. Surface can I mean, just a surface itself can give you a possible harm or injury? No. Unless it is uneven, there is a possibility for a person to get tripped, and that there is a possible effect of a person may have a broken arm, broken neck, or let's say head injury, okay, or internal hemorrhage. He got coma, and then he got in coma, and then he probably die. So that is also fatal, right? So hazard is the reason why there's an immediate effect that causes the risk to people, properties, or environment. But why the person walk over the uneven surface and why the uneven surface is there? If the injured person walk over the uneven surface, okay, because he is mobilizing some materials, that uneven surface, that surface, if you put uneven, then that will become an unsafe condition of the surface. So, because he's mobilizing some materials from the warehouse to the work site, it means it is because of that sequence of an activity. So, it is very vital in a risk assessment to subdivide a job scope and identify task sequences when you are identifying hazards or anything that has a potential to cause an injury or damage to properties or even environment. But you have to make sure, okay, when you are identifying task sequences, you need to make sure that the sequence have a significant hazard. Okay, but all of the sequence came up from the first column in our risk assessment. That is your job scope itself, or the task, or the activity itself. Okay? So now, what we're gonna do, you need to make sure all those things are significant. Otherwise, there will be a problem for you. Okay? You will be solving problems that are not really the problem itself. Okay? Now, so we have to look at the PDF file that I have sent you a while ago. So we have a sample or template of our hazards and risk registry. And if you notice, on the first column, we have the activities. And then we have task sequences. And then right after the task sequence, we have the hazards. And then after that, the immediate effect, as what I have told you a while ago. And then the risk, which is your possible, maximum possible effect, and the likelihood or probability of and the risk that could affect once the immediate effect is or the hazard is present. And then your severity, how much weight of the damage or injury that the risk might affect the involved person or the equipment or the properties or the environment. Now, the risk level is the product of your likelihood and your severity. So it's just you're just going to multiply whatever you put in your likelihood column to your severity column, and your risk level will be the product of those. And then after that, your significance level will be based on your risk matrix. So we have several risk matrix that is available that most of the times are being used by others. So we have 3 by 3 matrix, 4 by 4, we have 5 by 5, and so on. Some others are using 7 by 7, and some are also using higher than 7 by 7 matrix. And then from that table, you can easily identify the significance level ranging from very low up to extreme or very high, or it depends on your company how you formulated your risk matrix. Okay, so it's up to you, whatever is applicable for your company, that is what you're going to use. Okay, now but for this purpose, for you to understand, we will use the 5 by 5 matrix. Okay, now um, the next column that we're going to talk about is the controls, which is very, very significant, very important, um, because this will be the solution of your problem. If the problem in safety is hazard, the solution will become control. So that is how we try to solve the problem. Solving the problem, which is hazard, we eliminate or mitigate the risk level of the hazard or the existing hazard by providing control measures. So this will be your control columns. And then after that, we have the category. So we all know. So some are referring to ERIC PD, elimination, reduction, isolation, your administrative and engineering controls. You have PPE, you have disciplinary control. Okay, so those are the categories that you will use. But it depends upon on your company what system you are following. But if you don't have the system yet, that is how you're going to establish your system. That is a more complicated one for occupational safety and health management system. Okay. Now, after the category column, you have the residual likelihood. Once the control was in place, you need to measure what happened to your likelihood before. If initially you have 4, now what will be the uh, present or current, what will be the resulting likelihood once you applied such control? Okay, like on the first row of our control, so we have put something in there, and once that control is being applied or is in place, what will happen? Your likelihood will be reduced from 4 to 3. But if you will notice, your severity didn't change because that control particularly attacked the likelihood. It's very, very important that you can analyze that your control is attacking is whether your control is attacking the likelihood or attacking the severity. Okay, it's not that when I put such control, I will deduct first from likelihood, and then after that, when I put the next control, I will deduct it from the severity. It's not like that. You have to look at it. Let's say, for example, somebody fell down. You provide the PPE. You asked him to wear a helmet. When he fell down and hit by the helmet first, is it possible for him to still have a head injury? Well, probably not if you are just falling from the same level. So that's the point. Now, from head injury, probably you have a little bit of headache or first aid, whatever. So from fatality to what we call to um, to first aid or medical treatment whatsoever, it goes down. It attacks the severity. So, but not all the time, PPE is attacking severity. Sometimes PPE is attacking the likelihood. So that is what you're going to remember. Now, again, since you have a residual likelihood and you have a residual severity, you will then again have a residual risk level. So same thing. You multiply the residual likelihood by residual severity, you will have your residual risk level. And then after that, your significance level. So what happened? From before that it is very high, once you put the control in place, it will become high. Use the same risk matrix. And if you'll notice, on the second row, we again attack the likelihood. Okay? Once we attack the likelihood, then from 3, it will become 2. Okay? You will just imagine, the essence of this is, you will just imagine how much is it attacking, how much is it reducing. For example, the first row was not complied, but you complied on the second row. What will happen? If you did only the second row, it will again come back from the original 4, like likelihood is 4, likelihood value which is 4, you reduce 1. So instead of 2, it will become 3. So that will be included on the next 3 columns that I have told you. So that is a little bit complicated by that time. So because you need to assess how much what you call the compliance rating of your company, because these are one of the KPIs that you should have in your management system. Are your company complying on its own regulation, rules and regulation? Because once you have created the risk assessment, all of these things, all of the controls will be in your rules and regulation, company's rules and regulation. Not only in company's rules and regulation, it will be included in your safe work procedures or SOP. Okay, SWP or SOP. It depends on the company's terms and or terminologies that you want to use. Okay, and so on. The third row is affecting again the likelihood, so it reduces again another one level, and then the residual severity was also attacked by the third control. So just imagine if the first two rows were not in place and you just use the third row, you just follow the administrative control, and then what will happen? You will start both on 4. So from original 4 and 4, you will have 3 and 3. But here, we're considering that every controls that we have indicated here must be followed. So once you follow the first 2 rows, you will then have 1 and 3. But if you imagine, you have only the residual risk level of 3. So the thing is, your significance level will become low. From very high, now it becomes low. That is what we call mitigation, which is very, very important. Okay. Now, if you will see on the fourth row, we have the another administrative control. So once you put it in place, instead of low, it will become now very low. And that is called mitigation. Originally, you have a very high significance level, and then after you put 4 controls, it becomes very low. But most of the time, probably okay, you're seeing a lot of risk assessment or a lot of JSAs, because JSA or job safety analysis is something else. After you learn, you cannot do job safety analysis without a risk assessment. That is the thing, because you will base your analysis for your job safety analysis from your risk registry. Without a risk registry, where are you getting your analysis? What are the things that you're analyzing? You're just analyzing from the air. It's not documented. It's very hard. You don't have any proof. Okay, I don't know how other companies or other people are practicing such thing like that. Okay, but the thing is, you have to refer your job safety analysis from your risk registry. And for that reason, probably if you want to know that, I will soon release a video training for that, how to create a job safety analysis, an effective job safety analysis for a particular activity in a particular workplace. Okay. Now, but for the meantime, let's go back to our likelihood and severity. This is more exciting because in likelihood, thing is probably what you have in mind right now is asking yourself, how did I put 4? How did we say that the likelihood is 4? And how did I say that the severity is 4 also? And for the second hazard, my risk level becomes 20 and extreme instead of very high. How did I come up with 5? That's a very good question. Well, in every risk assessment or risk registry, you will use 3 tools. Okay, remember this: 3 tools. One, you have to consider your risk matrix, as what I have told you, because otherwise, where you getting the significance level, you cannot just in assessment. In assessment, when we talk about assessment, you need to be precise in everything you put in risk assessment. Okay, you cannot just go. Let's say, for example, I'll give you a very good example. A two-person will just go to the university and enroll themselves. Both of them went to the first thing that you're going to do before you can register yourself is to have an assessment. Okay, you will go to the assessor or whatever you call the registrar's office, and then you will have your assessment how much you're going to pay. And the second person also do the same thing. So you went to the registrar and go for the another person and ask for the assessment for his registration fee. Now, both of them are going for the same course, same level. So I mean to say there's no difference. Let's say they will go both for engineering course, first year, or the first year in that college. So after they went to the different registrars or assessors, they have the same assessment, definitely, because same course, right? The same thing with risk assessment. If if two different people do the risk assessment of the same activity in the same workplace, there should be no difference. And the only secret for that is that you should have your likelihood scale, which is your tool number 2, and your severity scale, which is your tool number 3. Now, once you have those scales, you have the matrix, you have a reference where you can get your likelihood level. But the thing is, how to create one? And that's another question. So, um, um, the thing is, in severity, it's very easy because once you have the scale, you have a 5 by 5 matrix, you have the scale of 1 to 5. Every level from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, there are some reasons where when you are going to consider the level of severity is 1. Let's say when we are talking about the level 1, or when we are talking about first aid or near misses, let's say near misses, every near misses or possible risk pertaining to near misses, you will consider the severity is 1. And first aid for severity 2, medical treatment for severity 3, LTI or temporary disablement or hospitalization is severity number 4. Your permanent disability and fatality will go for severity number 5. So you know already what will happen. Let's say somebody slip. When somebody slip, they will not fall forward. They will fall backward. And our arms can support us only when we fall forward. So when you fall backward, there is a chance for you to hit the surface or to hit the ground first by your head. And that's the reason why severity is 5. Because there is a chance for you to have a head injury resulting to internal bleeding or internal hemorrhage resulting to comatose resulting to fatality. Okay, so that's very easy. Now for likelihood, you need 3 factors minimum. So let's go for the minimum. You need the probability of occurrence. What are the different possible result. That is probability of occurrence. What is the ratio of the maximum result to the number of total results? Okay, total number of results. Let's say, for example, the possible maximum possible results is fatality. Okay. Now, when you sleep, okay, there's a chance that you may be harmed, but there will be no injury. That is near miss. Okay, and there's a chance that you might have some first aid necessary for first aid treatment. There's also a chance that you will be medically treated. There's also a chance that you will have a fracture, but you can recover, so that is temporary disability. And your fatality, if you will have a head injury. So total number of results, probability in terms of your severity scale, you have 5. Okay? Now, 1 out of 5, that is your probability of occurrence. Okay? And 1 out of 5 is how many percent? That's 20%. So you will have a scale in terms of likelihood pertaining to the percentage wherein, let's say for example, you have 0 to 20 is 1, 21 to 40 is 2, 41 to 60 is 3, 61 to 80 is 4, and 81 to 100 is 5. But that's not the only factor. Okay? So you will have an average, or you have to consider all the other factors. That is likelihood, probability, right? So the next factor that you have to consider is workforce percentage. Okay, how many people might be exposed to the hazard and might have that risk that you mentioned. Okay, so how many people are working? That is the total number of manpower working for that particular activity, and how many of them might be exposed for that particular hazard. That is workforce exposure. Okay, so or workforce percentage. Okay, how many people are exposed for that particular hazard? So you need to take the ratio, okay, or percentage again. Then once you get the percentage, you will have two factors now. And then after that, the third factor that you have to consider is your frequency of exposure. How often you're doing the activity and how many times. In the total number of times that you're doing the activity, what is the percentage that you might be exposed for that particular hazard or risk? Okay? If you're doing the job frequently every day, 24 hours a day, and that is very, very high. Okay? So that could be your 100%. Because all day long, 24/7, you are exposed. That is frequency of exposure. So all these three things you have to consider in order for you to come up with 4. Imagine how complicated the things are. And if you're just going to look at this number that we put in our likelihood, you see the number 4. And it looks like very, very simple and everybody could guess. But if you have that likelihood scale, nobody can just guess the value of likelihood. Okay? Now, if you want to learn, I cannot include in this part of the video, instructional video. I'll be releasing the next video for that. Um, but since that is too complicated, we need to go deeper on other details of the risk assessment, including the last 3 columns that I'm going to tell you. And we have to discuss from the very first part. I need to train you to do the task sequencing properly. Because you miss one task sequence, you will miss a lot of hazards. Okay? Just imagine on this template, how many hazards did I found in mobilization? We have 5 hazards. Imagine you miss mobilization, what will happen? You will miss 5 hazards. And if you miss those 5 hazards, you will miss to put control measure. And if you miss to put control measure, it is very clear that accident could happen. Somebody could die. Somebody will get injured. Somebody will be fractured. Somebody will be disabled. Somebody will be treated medically. Okay, medically. Now the thing is, you remember what I have told you from the first part of the instructional video? Every accident is equivalent for a loss in terms of the company's profit. And why do they hire you? To help them reduce those losses indicated from the accidents. Okay? But if you miss to do the task sequencing, it is very clear that you are incompetent for your job. You are not doing your responsibilities well as a safety officer. And that is very shameful. Okay? So we cannot just live in ignorance. You better find it out. Okay? Actually, we prepared already for that. What we are trying to do, I uh, I will encourage you also to have our online mastery class for advanced safety management, because this is everything about the system managing safety. Okay, you need to put a system, but you have to start with risk assessment. Prior to that, you can have your SWPs, you can have your safety systems in place, you can have everything working as a whole in one safety plan or safety program. So, I just feel um, I used to laugh only for those who can who are providing safety plan or safety program just by copying from somebody else. Imagine you just copy from somebody else and it is not applicable for you. Then what will happen for your SWPs and safety systems? Horrible. Can't imagine that. Okay, anyway, hopefully you get something from this instructional video, and I would like to thank you all for participating. I wish I could give you a lot more, but you know, um, this few minutes of this instructional video, I know that it isn't enough, but I want to help you. Just if you want to help yourself, let us know. Send us a message or send us an email that you'd like to join our ASMTC online mastery class, or our hazards and risk management online mastery class. You can just check it from our website. The link for that or address is primatoragroup.com/product/OMC2. Okay, so anyway, wish you good luck, and my instructional video is over 10 minutes for my target, supposed to be 60 minutes only, so I spend almost 7 to 10 minutes for this, and I wish you good luck, and I wish you success also. Thank you.